everyone. This is Lori McIntosh with Rustic Ranches Real Estate, and I'm here today with Rob and Haswell. He is with Visit Placer, someone I've been dying to talk to because I have your app and been going to all these places, and I come in the store a lot. As a realtor, I like to collect information for my buyers that come here, and
Yeah,
I've never been to Placer County and want to learn more about it and all
yeah,
the things that are happening. And I like to participate in a lot of the events,
yeah.
being a social person, and I love to network. And well, first, I'll start off before we get into Visit Placer and what you do as CEO. Tell me about yourself. What's your connection to Auburn?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Lori. It's great to be chatting with you today. Love to talk about all things Placer. We the organization that we have is the Placer County Visitors Bureau. So we run the shop here in Auburn, the Welcome Center, and we also do tourism and destination marketing for the county at large. So super exciting. It's fun to do it. I was born and raised here in Placer County. Lived actually up in the Truckee areas where I was born, and but my dad's family was all from Auburn here, and my wife and I moved back here in 2005, and we've been living here in Auburn ever since, and raised our kids here, and they went to Placer High School, and this is our home, and we love it. We think it's one of the best places in the world that anyone could live, and it's an awesome place to visit too. So, which makes it kind of fun, the job I do,
Yeah.
like promoting it out, to folks to explore. And, our tagline here at Visit Placer is life at its peak. We feel like that applies to so many parts of what we do here. We have mountains, literally, but we think people can come out here and spend some time and really explore with their friends and family and really find those peak moments that make life really special. So it's great to be here with you, and yeah, super fun to talk about what we do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more because I
Yeah.
know there's quite a bit I don't know about. So you came from Truckee to Auburn and you love it, and I feel like a lot of people would want to be in Truckee, vice versa. But you do have to deal with snow and not the best internet and
Well,
a lot of
it was
tourists.
a great place to grow up. I'll tell
Hmm.
you that. We did a lot of skiing, and I always tell people I lived in the Placer County part of Truckee. Truckee itself is in Nevada County, but we lived on the road between Truckee and Tahoe City on Highway 89 out there. So I was raised in Placer, so I can say,
Right.
lifetime Placer County resident. But yeah, it was great. It was a fun place to be, to grow up. Especially if you liked outdoor stuff. The lakes, obviously Lake Tahoe and Donner Lake are just incredible places, and the skiing up there is phenomenal. And we were a ski family and did quite a bit of that. Did some racing when I was a younger person, and so it's kind of nice. My brother still has a condominium up there, and so we do still get up there quite a bit. And great place to visit. But yeah, I kind of like the more temperate weather down here. Honestly, it's Auburn. We're here at about 1,200 feet elevation, so we do get some snow, but not a ton down
Right,
here.
for a day or two
Yeah,
max.
yeah, exactly, which is perfect for me, as you spend a lifetime shoveling snow and doing all that. It's easy to start to see it when you get older, like great place to go visit. But
Yeah,
I'd rather have the more temperate climate otherwise.
100%. I know shoveling snow is like the best workout ever, but I'd rather be doing a different workout, which is
Well, and like
going down.
last year, we had the biggest, literally biggest snow season in over 70 years,
Yeah.
since 1952. Used to be a joke. My mom, who was born in Truckee, used to always make fun of every year there'd be a big snow year, and she'd always say, "Ah, it's nothing compared to 1952." So we had to live with that. But then last year we surpassed the snow amount that they had in 52. So when I
Yeah.
when I go visit, her grave, I'll say that to her, like, "Well, we finally got you, Mom."
Aw. Yeah, we just shared a lot of info. I could ask a million questions right there. I know as a realtor who sold quite a bit in Tahoe, especially North Lake, by the fact that I live off of 80.
Hmm.
I had an argument with my husband about Nevada County and being in Truckee because of all the short-term rental laws
Yeah.
and what's easier, which county's more compatible if you want to do investments and things like that. So I'm like, no, no, no. There is a Nevada County in Tahoe.
Yeah.
It's Truckee.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then,
Most of incorporated Truckee is in Nevada, but
right,
it's an interesting time. I was just on a call earlier talking about short term rentals and the challenges that a lot of these heavy resort areas are facing now in terms of like workforce housing. Because we're in the hospitality industry when you're in tourism, and a lot of the folks we need to run the businesses, a lot of times they can't afford to live in these places. So
right,
it's a huge challenge right now in our industry, and we're all kind of really thinking about being a more sustainable model, trying to get our communities engaged so that we're not adversarial. Years
right,
ago, in the tourism industry, there wasn't a lot of attention paid to residents and what they cared about. Really, our goal, our job, really was to get as many people into the place as we could, and so the businesses would thrive and the industry would thrive, and we weren't really too concerned about the impacts, and all that's changed. It's the whole industry really worldwide has recognized, thankfully, the importance of the experience both from visitor and from resident and locals from the local perspective. Because really, if you're going to have a long-term sustainable sort of tourism you know product, it has to be one of those things that everybody believes that it's good for all. And for many years, and especially places like Tahoe that are super impacted, the residents are like, we don't need more up there. I mean, they've been like that since I lived up there. Folks didn't really want the Olympics up there back in 1960
probably
because
not.
it's just a lot,
Yeah,
but if you get them engaged and you're like start to really embrace, a lot of those sustainable kind of thinking, right? Leave it better than you found it. Come in, be respectful to, the local community, the local assets, the environment. I think then you can start to really create a better, more, symbiotic sort of experience. So that's the goal. That's kind of what a lot of us, especially my organization, are really leaning in on that as the way we want to promote that it can be a immersive and sustainable and kind of experience for people.
that's good to know. I used to be a pharmaceutical rep in Tahoe. Was my territory all the way down to Sacramento, and I've met a few people in the medical field, and a lot of them live in Soda Springs or Alta,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had to commute over Donner Pass to get to work, which is a challenge. It's kind of like if you work there, you need to be on the other side of Donner Pass
Yeah,
because you can't make it some days,
yeah,
and that's something to think about too. There are more affordable for sure homes in Alta and Soda Springs, but that's a price you have to pay and come up with. But
yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
problematic, right? To your point,
yeah,
when it snows in here and that summit's socked in, there's no guarantee that it'll be open.
I've
Especially
been yeah
with all the vehicle traffic, and a lot of times there's people driving and they're not prepared for that kind of,
many yeah
those conditions. So it is tough. So I agree. If you're going to work in the basin, you have to either be in there or you have to come from the other side, like down in the Reno area. That's the other way I think a lot of
right
workers do. Still tough, right? That's a long commute, and so it's an ongoing issue that people are taking serious, and hopefully over time, we'll be able to come up with some solutions that keep the industry viable up there and yet make it affordable, for folks to live and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
we'll kind of go back towards Southern Placer
yeah,
now because
sure, yep.
I am recovering from ACL surgery at Palisades, and 20 years ago I broke every single my bone snowboarding.
Oof.
at
know,
Palisades, so I'm gonna pass on that resort, and that's the reason why I live in Auburn,
yeah,
is to avoid all that. And
yeah,
it doesn't work, but we have horses, so I like
that's
being at. We're at
awesome.
1,250,
Right,
actually 1,500 feet, and then it drops down to 1,450 where we live. So we don't have to deal with the snow with
right.
horses. That's pretty difficult,
Yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
we love that. It's pretty rural here, and all the trails that we have access to, some of them are pretty intense. They're not easy trails, so you got to have a horse that knows what they're doing.
Hmm.
Because I'm a big advocate for multi-use trails.
For
I like to
sure.
share with mountain bikers that are responsible and
Yeah,
respectful of a 1,000-pound beast that I'm sitting on,
yeah.
and then hikers, of course. Hidden Falls is our favorite place to
Oh my
go.
gosh, it's so great. And, they're expanding it, so it's going to be
Yes.
really nice out there. I mean, Placer is an awesome hiking and biking and equestrian destination, and the trail systems we have access to. My wife and I yesterday were out in the divide at a multi use trail just outside of Cool,
Hmm.
sharing it with some equestrian riders. And it was funny. They came up over the ridge, and it looked like they were coming off the set of Yellowstone or something. Some guys in their big hats, and it was great. So it is for an outdoors person. This area is about as good as it gets. I mean, this Auburn State Recreation Area, hundreds of miles of trails down there. Great easy access, like you said. Hidden Falls, we feel like that's one of the best hiking assets right out in the middle of our wine country. So it's really neat. People could go for a hike and then go and have a glass of wine, or go to one of our farm breweries out there and have a nice relaxing experience after a good hike. So yeah,
And a
it's
pizza and lots of food
right.
trucks.
Food truck. I mean, it's an awesome experience. We're super excited to be partnering with our friends, in the wine and ale world. It's such a growing, experiential, destination in county. People are having a ton of fun. I see you've got the Holiday in the Hills that they just finished.
Yes, I did
Yeah.
this. We did one day. I actually won free tickets because I was one of probably 20 or so people that did all the wineries and breweries for the Sips and Suds event.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
You you, you
I'm
take
pretty
you
tempted.
take your local destinational work serious, Lori.
I do.
Yeah. I
Oh, it's
mean,
this way.
yeah,
Yeah, I knew all about this, and I was pretty excited to go with my husband and
yeah,
check out, like, Cristaldi, for example, super small winery, and I understand why they need to make an appointment.
yeah,
It's not something that anyone, a ton of people can just pull up and figure out where to go. It's not as easy because they live there too.
yeah.
And there's a few like that, and I think it's just amazing that they love to share their knowledge about wine, and they always have a charcuterie platter for you
Super
too.
nice. Well,
So
that's what one of the things I think that is a real differentiator with our wine region than a lot of others is the huge variety in the type of winery that you can visit. Right, you have your very small, very boutique wineries. Pazaz is one of my favorites. You drive down their road and canopied trees and beautiful views out there, and it's secluded. Then you can go out to Wise Villa and you feel like you're in the south of France. You're up on a hill and big vistas, and they have a restaurant bistro there. So we believe you come out to our region, you can find an experience uh, that's going to fit what you're looking for, right? And
mhm.
again, that's where we say life at its peak. You can go out to any one of these and really have a great, memorable experience. Something because I think in this day and age, with all the you know just all the noise we have in life, people are looking for things that they can hang on to that were really special, and so that's what we really try to emphasize, here in Placer County is how special it is in so many different ways. If you want to chase around and really explore gold, the gold rush history, we've got communities that really represent that. I mean, right here in Auburn, the Old Town Auburn and all that history, and we've got the courthouse, and it's the Placer County museums there with some amazing displays. So between that and you can get down on the rivers and go river rafting or out to one of our mini lakes, and any one of those places, we believe, you can have those moments that you remember years later. Like remember that time we were at that little winery and the sun was going down and it was awesome, one of our best days. Like we think there's a lot of wasn't it one of our best days kind of
Yeah.
moments around here. Well, and so one of our things that we put programs together to try to encourage people to get out and discover parks, especially sometimes you realize that your residents don't always know everything that you have to offer,
Right.
and
I know
so
so much more, and I've only been here 6 years.
yeah, I
Like, there's
mean,
so many
I
locals that grew up here, and they're like, they see me on Facebook, and they're like, "What?"
I know it's
Like,
crazy. I mean, that's the same thing. I have a favorite campground right now up off of Immigrant Gap, and it's the North Fork campground down there. It's beautiful, and I didn't
Mhm.
discover it till I started this job, 5.5 years ago. We went up there and I was like, and we camp, as a family, but, and I drove past it, how many hundreds and hundreds of times on I-80,
See,
and you're like, oh my gosh,
did you
didn't
go to the
even know this.
waterfall?
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome.
I showed land way out there. It was like 40 acres off the grid was the title, and I
Uh-huh.
showed quite a
Wow.
few people that this was right during COVID when people
Yeah, yeah.
wanted to be in the woods alone. This a local guy took us to the waterfall and went swimming, and I watched and hung
Uh-huh.
out. It was
It's
the one
just,
guy just went in his boxers, my buyer, and
yeah, yeah.
he had a blast.
Isn't it beautiful? You go to that
Yeah.
waterfall. It's only about a quarter mile from the campground, and it's just
Had no
spectacular.
idea it was there.
Yeah, it's like something out of Jurassic Park kind of when you get down
Hmm.
into it. So yeah, yeah, we love it. We go to the group side over at Tunnel Mills there now, and we have a group thing we do. So,
Fun.
but it's just like that kind of stuff's all over. And the thing about the Explorer Pass, so we put together, as you know, a Placer Explorer Pass, where we identified 55, I believe, and I know
55,
because you went
exactly.
to them all,
I
which is
did.
awesome. I think you're the only
There's
one
only
that got
two
all the
that
way to
were
the end.
that you couldn't GPS track because
Yeah,
one was in Forest Hill, way out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which was awesome feedback, by the way, because
Hmm.
we'll have to switch that around a little bit. Go for the
I've
next
never
one.
been to Sugar Pine before, and I
It's a
already have
beautiful lake,
plans to
huh?
go paddleboarding out there next spring. I've had a friend invite me, and I don't know, I just missed it, and so
Yeah,
now I'll take her up on it and go.
yeah, yeah. Now you've seen it.
Hmm.
That's one of
Yeah, the
my
path is great.
theories of marketing. Really, is if people see a place, it changes how they talk about it.
100%.
You
Yeah.
know, and so I've had my staff here. I encourage them to take time, and because we get visitors in here all the time, and they're always
Hmm.
asking questions, and it's hard. you know, we know about these places, but if you really want to make an impact when you're giving somebody some advice, if you've seen it or been there, it changes everything. And so I encourage them to go out and visit places that they talk about that they haven't seen, because it's a huge county. I mean, we're 1,400 square miles here in Placer. It's, with a lot of forest land and a lot of
Yes.
rivers and a lot of things to see. And hugely different on the east slope over there versus down here in the foothills, and then on down to the valley with that's more of our urban center, which is really cool. I mean, one of the things that we really like to trumpet is the idea that you know you could come in and spend a weekend here, and you could be river rafting or shopping at the fountains or both. And go see a symphony at night. Like there's just so
There's a lot of
much you can
culture, a
do.
lot more than people think.
All right. Yeah, and the arts community is really, really taking off. A lot of artists and galleries, and things that we like to promote, because that's a whole nother segment of you know of stuff that we have here that you can put right alongside your outdoors experiences, so you can have the culture. Our culinary scene is really taking off. We've got some amazing eateries.
Yeah.
There's starting to be a really strong connection between our local growers and our farms with our restaurants.
I see Eric, the owner of Josephine's, quite a bit at the Saturday farmers
Yeah,
market,
yeah,
getting food for the week.
yeah. And they have their own farm even over
They
there.
do.
Family Restaurant
Hmm.
Josephine's is one of the best. You know, they hit the restaurant experience on all levels,
I
right?
try not to talk about them too much because I don't want it to get too crowded.
Yeah,
They probably wouldn't
yeah.
like that.
Well, we already take advantage of their, you know, their sit at the bar, keep those
Yes,
seats open.
I
That's kind of the
know.
local
And Wednesday
thing.
nights they have the fried chicken
Oh yeah,
sandwich
I've
with the
had it.
pickle and those fries. Oh,
Super amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
But we're getting more and more of those restaurants, and we're starting to get world class chefs coming out here into Placer Q 1227 down in Granite Bay. Amazing restaurant, you know, southern, really high level, you know, southern food there. I mean, hawks. You know, it's just it's an incredible, you know, cornucopia of stuff that people can, you know, eat, drink, you know, do the high end shopping if they want over at the fountains or whatever, or do the boutiquing. You know, come out to, I mean, Loomis. If you haven't been to Loomis lately, like their downtown area and with the High Hand and its expansion with a brewery there, and it's an
Oh,
amazing little
at High
place.
Hand with the sips and suds, I thank God I went with a friend. My husband was out of town, and we ordered the tasting,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave us 12 tastings.
Oh wow.
They were 2 ounces, but my eyes, I was like, what? Thank God this is the only place I'm going today.
Yeah.
But I was on a mission. I did it in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And
That's
but
crazy. Good for
and
you.
fortunately for me, my friend was a very good beer drinker, so she helped quite a bit. But that's a tip for you guys that like a lot of beer and a lot of variety.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So, Josephine's, back to the high end restaurants. There was a chef that grew up in Auburn who he's at Michelin star level, and he could have opened here, and I can't remember his name, but he thought Auburn was not ready, and he decided to open his restaurant in Sacramento instead. And I thought that was just devastating news because I feel like with Carpe Vino closing, that would have been perfect for him to step in and
Was that pretty recent? Because I know there was a guy who had a restaurant down there who's also been, I think, involved with the Poor Choice, maybe.
it
And
could be him.
yeah,
They
and
are opening Remedy. I know
is it?
another coffee
And
shop,
what's
but
the name of his restaurants in
I don't
Sacramento?
think it's the kitchen. I might have got that mixed up.
I
I
think it
can't.
might be.
Yeah. And by the way, I tried to make a reservation for April like a week ago, and I was 10 minutes late. It was like starting at 10 a.m. and it was already booked.
Kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty
and it's
crazy.
pricey now,
Well, and
but
again,
all
you're
food
paying for
is.
the experience, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah, it'd be fun to watch.
yeah, and just to go through
Kind
the
of like the Culinary Institute of America
yeah,
in
that kind
Napa.
of yeah, it's you know, and again, that's another thing that Placer County is a part of, and that's the Sacramento Regional Farm to Fork Capital idea. We A lot of our restaurateurs take part in that annual event down in Sac, and you know the connection between Sacramento and its urban offerings with all the stuff that we have is really a great. There's a lot of symbiosis there, right? Like people can really have they can come out and have the rural, the ag experience, and still have the urban, you know, and the food around here. I mean, Placer, El Dorado, Yolo, you know, Sacramento counties, it's just you know, we got the strong Mediterranean kind of region, you know, in terms of climate, and our soil's amazing. And in Placer County, we have incredible, amazing water and a lot of it. So
A
that's
lot of
super
water.
helpful.
Yeah, we almost moved to Paso Robles or the Central Coast area when we knew we needed to leave the Bay Area because we have 5 equines,
Yeah,
and it was just getting crowded for us. And we came up here mainly because we're close to Tahoe,
right.
but we know we'll always have a water source because of
Yep,
the Sierras,
right.
as long as it's not all sold away to LA and whatnot.
Well, and they've done a real nice job on that. I don't want to get too deep into
Oh
the
no,
Placer water politics,
I
but
know it's
back
a
in
whole
the
nother
60s, they
talk.
built some infrastructure. You know, the Placer County Water Agency was set up. And so we have all this ability to capture water and deliver it that is pretty unparalleled. You know,
Oh
so
yeah.
it's a real win for Placer, and the water's amazing. As you know, if you live here, it tastes great right out of
Right.
the tap. And there's like again, our farmers have better prices on water, so it's a huge asset for us. And recreating on water, people like water to recreate. And so we have Folsom and Rawlins and Tahoe and the rivers. And Camp Far West. I haven't done much out there, but I know it's really popular, especially the boating crowd out there outside of Lincoln. So there's a lot of water that you can recreate
I
on
didn't
here.
know that. As I've done 2 days of 50-mile races, and they call it Camp Far West. And towards the end of October, and for Halloween, the riders will dress in costume, which is a lot of fun when
Yeah,
you're dressed up riding an Arabian for 50 miles. I
right.
don't know if I'll do that again.
Yeah.
I was dressed as
Well,
Dr.
you have to.
Seuss.
I was going to say, depends on your costume.
Right, I was in a tutu. Not a good idea.
Well, you're
But
having fun.
it was fun. And then there's a gun range there, so
Yeah.
that's fun too. And the guns go off.
Was that so? Was the race out there at the
It
lake?
was
Yeah.
Spencerville, but yeah, it's a rough drive too with the bumpy
I mean, it's
road.
a ways out. I mean, it's a certain, it's a
It's still
definitely
beautiful.
a type of crowd that wants to go out there. They want to get away, and I know they've had some hot rod boat racing out there and stuff. And
Hmm.
again, it's just another. My point is, it's another offering that we have that people are not always aware of, and it just the variety of things that you can do, especially on the outdoor side, is unparalleled. I think in Placer, we're so blessed, really, to like you say, we're less than an hour to skiing on the Don Donner
Sugar
Summit.
Bowl.
Yeah, so and you're right over the hill, and you've got huge resorts, and people don't know this, but Placer County has a larger proportion of land, a shoreline on Tahoe than any other jurisdiction, any other county. So pretty cool. We've got all the West Shore and the North Shore all the way to the state line, and a lot of great beaches up there. And it's incredible to be able to have an international destination like Tahoe in your county. It's kind of a game changer. And having the great international airport in Sacramento so close, really gives us, especially with Interstate 80, which goes straight through, basically dissects Placer County, gives people a lot of access to a lot of things. So, we really like to, you know, make sure that people realize that they can go end to end here and have everything they want.
Yeah.
And when they're in Auburn, they can stop at our shop here and talk to our staff and check out some of the cool things we have. In fact, we should go down and take a little walk around there at
We
some point.
should. But that you reminded me about access and downtown with Old Town. And right, this particular office is in Central Square, which
Correct.
I did not know that was called Central Square. I kind of lumped it with downtown. So I feel like there's three sections of Auburn that you could visit for shopping and buying food and whatnot.
For sure.
Um,
And there's the airport district. So
that's
there's
true.
some.
That's like that. That's still part of the city of Auburn,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a little island that's
right?
incorporated.
Yeah.
They got some great breweries out there.
Unfortunately, I
Moonwaker and
live 7 minutes from Moonraker, so
well,
that's not the
unfortunately, yeah.
best.
Well,
And
it's
knee deep.
yeah. Well, it's fun. Those are
I am
really
forced to go there a lot.
yeah.
So
Well, so you yeah. Well, so you're familiar with that business district,
I
as it
am.
were.
I
Yeah.
am. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and there's I think I've ordered a couple things mistakenly. I wasn't shopping local on Amazon, and it came from a building at the airport area.
Oh,
It was like a
really?
nutritional
Oh, no kidding.
product that I purchased. I'm like, wait, I know that
Yeah.
address.
That's
I could have
wild.
just gone and knocked on the door, but it was more of a distribution center, I
Sure.
think,
Yep. Yep.
and or where they made their products. Kind of like outside of Reno, there's
Yeah.
so many places.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
but your point is well taken. I didn't mean to get off of it. Your
sure.
point. We have we have two business sections officially, right, with the Old Town area and also downtown, which is on the upside of Auburn, right? So it's always a little odd for me to call it downtown. I want to call it uptown.
Right.
And then, yes, Central Square here, which really the city of Auburn, I think it was 15 years ago or so, really put together really made that Central Square area a lot more desirable for foot traffic. You know, it was really, you know, like I said, my dad was born and raised here, and so we'd come when I was a kid, and that was one of the worst intersections in Auburn. It was had all these funky lights, and it was hard to get through it, and it was kind of junky looking, and they changed all that and made it what it is now, which is a really nice area to hang out. We have a lot of music in there. Obviously, a lot of the historical stuff. If you want to read about Auburn history, they have street tiles with historical figures and a
Well,
short
as an
story.
endurance rider, I definitely was going to bring that up with all the tiles
Yeah,
of famous people that have done the
yeah,
Tevis Cup, and then
right.
recently you have, I think his name is Scott, who's a top kayaker
Yeah, yeah.
for
We had him in here
endurance.
actually for his
Yeah, I
when he
went to
got his
that.
plaque. Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's.
And
Have you seen his movie?
yes,
Yeah, super good.
yes, at the
River Runner.
Auburn, yeah, at the Auburn State Theater, which will be reopening soon once the roof
Yeah,
is fixed.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's but I love the fact that the endurance capital of the world is kind of focused in Central Square because that brings more tourists right
Yeah,
to that area
right.
specifically to look at the tiles and you got some shops that kind of relate to it,
Yeah, yeah. We got a lot of,
like a
and
gym there.
right,
I forgot if it's not A Town, that's the bike shop.
right. But those, and then
Other
just up
one,
the hill, there's a couple of shoe shops that are
yeah,
very
runners.
connected in. We actually, there's Ironman has connected with a local organization, and we have the Canyons Canyons endurance runs now that start and end in Auburn. You know, they have a 100 miler and a 100 kilometer and a 50 kilometer, 20. So super open to everyone. I mean, the thing about like Tevis and Western states, which are the granddaddies of our endurance, you know, reputation, they're hard to get into. You know,
Yeah,
the Western states is really hard. You know, you have to qualify, and you know, then you have to sort of get into the lottery, and it's hard. But that's been the nice thing about adding this whole canyons run in here, and that's in April. Is, you know, it's, you can get in, everyone can participate, and I think last year we had over 30 something countries were in town, you know, runners, 40 something states, you know, see in town and doing the race. And like you said, all of it starting and ending right there at sort of the plaza. So yeah, it's a lot of good things happening on the endurance. In fact, the uh, the Endurance Capital Foundation is going to have a museum right here connected to our building. So it's
right.
going to be behind us, and that'll be a real nice addition. Right now, we have us and the Auburn Chamber of Commerce. So the Endurance Capital um, Museum will be a perfect addition. You know, this old historic building.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, before we go downstairs, I will say that for the Tevis Cup, there's plenty of space for riders. All you need is 3 50-mile rides, and for you and your horse to qualify, and then you can do it.
You
But
can get in.
I highly
Yeah.
recommend the educational ride is a month or so beforehand, so your horse gets to learn about the trail.
See, I should have deferred to you on the
It's
Tevis.
okay. I'm here to help out.
Yeah,
I'm
for
your
sure.
backup.
Yeah, no,
But
it's good. It's great information.
you can pretty
Yeah,
much do you can't do the beginning of the trail and you can't really do the very end. Plus we're having issues with this past year with that when you were talking about the biggest snow, we couldn't start Tevis at
right.
Roby Park in Truckee this year, so it had to be moved to Soda Springs. And then on the way back we couldn't cross a river because the river
It
water
was
was too high, we
roaring.
couldn't shut it down, so they had to go through Forest Hill.
Yeah.
So there's some changes, but they made it work and had a lot of
Well, they're
success.
very resilient, and you know,
Hmm.
resiliency is another buzzword right now
This
in the
area.
yeah, and in
Yeah.
tourism in general, right? Like
Uh-huh.
there are a lot of threats. You know, the weather. You know, you have much bigger kinds of weather changes, and being able to adapt. You
It's
know,
not like
it's
Santa Barbara, is it?
yeah.
It's like 72 there every
Yeah,
day.
right. And that's like when I went to college in San Diego, and that was always the joke. The difference between winter and summer in San Diego is 4 degrees in the ocean. You know, like a little cooler
Or a
in the
lounge chair
ocean.
blew
Everything's the
over.
same.
There was a storm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get quite a bit of, you know, of there's a lot at, you know, the weather is we're kind of a little bit weather dependent, you know, in terms of, and that's been kind of tough because we've had some of the fire seasons have been longer. Luckily, the last few years have been pretty good, So, but having that resiliency, that ability to shift, to make allowances for things like, huge snowpack, and that's also a tenet, I think, of the character of the people around here, right? We're a very resilient people, so
Right.
I think that's another draw to it,
It is.
So
Yeah. So before I shut down our video, I just want to show this
there it
nice
is.
poster board, Visit Plaster, and you have
Yeah.
a sticker.
You got the sticker,
I
and
got a
then
sticker too
one of
as a
our
prize.
partners, right? The old Placer Grown. That's a
They're amazing.
yep.
I hope they have more dinners in the field and at orchards and whatnot.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some stuff on that. I think we're starting to get a little bit involved in some of those
Oh,
conversations.
good.
Yeah, because
I love it.
I mean, culinary is a big thing, and we're lucky to live in an area with such great food access, So it's super
Yeah, as
nice.
long as we don't lose it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be mindful, right? Like things, there's always pressures put on stuff, and so we have to go out, we have to plan for things, and the county. I work with the economic development. That's how we get funded, and they just got a grant to write an ag master plan that'll go along with the county's general plan update.
Mhm.
Like we're in the weeds a little, but it's really important to the future of ag is that you have a planned, sort of prioritized way of dealing with it as you deal with growth and everything else. So really, it's a real boon for us that board of supervisors, are super behind that, right? So, so it'll help us when we're, over the next 10, 20, 50 years as we build out. If we have our ag priorities as part of the process, it'll really help us with, keeping that long term because it is super important. I mean, it's been a 150-year history here in Placer, the ag, and we have such great assets that it can only, you don't want to impact the quality of life too much, as you grow. I mean, every place has to grow some, right?
Right.
But if you kind of can do it and with a mindful way of looking at it, then you can do the balanced thing, and I think that's the big win for everyone.
Yeah, because I know other large communities that's super popular, like southern Santa Clara County was predominantly ag, and I feel like a lot of that has disappeared, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's that weird balance. You got to have housing. We have a housing crisis too, right? So
Hmm.
how do you balance, the lifestyle that you want to keep with trying to, build enough housing so that, and you have to be, willing to think in terms of, workforce and, affordable housing because, not all the jobs are, high end, you know, uh, executive level jobs. So it's,
No, they're not.
when the, so having some inventory that allows for that workforce to be able to live in on site and stuff is really important for
Yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
yeah,
Wow, we've talked about everything just
yeah,
about.
yeah. I don't know that we went pretty far afield, didn't we?
I do
And
really appreciate your time and
oh my
meeting with
gosh,
me, and I'll close out with again that I'm Lori with Rustic Ranches Real Estate, and I do love collaborating with
yeah,
this storefront. And if you are a new potential buyer coming to Placer County, just give me a call, and I'll be happy to put together with Rob helping me and Dan and the rest of your staff a packet of information. I
yeah.
know the web and internet is great, but it's sometimes good to have pamphlets and magazines to look through so you can have everything right there in front of you.
Yeah, and you can talk to people. And again, we do like to encourage people to go follow us on social media because, and we're at Visit Placer. It's super easy. That's our website too, visitplacer.com. Because especially, when it comes to events and learning about the quality of life here, right? Like we just feel like we have the best quality of life, and that's really what I think we sort of are in the business of promoting, more than, yes, it's a destination, but we're really we're really promoting the quality of life here in Placer.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you point out that it's a destination because I have a lot of people that will read the news or read the Wall Street Journal, for example, and they're like, "Oh no, the rates are so high, and oh, I can't buy right now," and there's like doom and gloom. But honestly, this area in California, the houses do not go down in price, and if they do, it's uh, it's because of something like 2008.
Yeah.
Overall, since 1942, housing has gone up the graph, and in the state of California, and then the fact that Placer County is such a desirable place to live and it's affordable, and so many people come from not just big cities in California like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or even Sacramento. I have a lot
Yeah.
of buyers from Sacramento, but Las Vegas
Yeah.
and other surrounding areas where they just want a little bit of land
Yeah.
and a little more privacy. So please
Well,
do not read the news, okay?
well, and I like to say the California dream's still alive in Placer County. Like we're one of the few growth counties that's happening, both in terms of businesses relocating here and people moving here. We're still in a positive growth,
Right.
situation. So I think to your point, people are discovering it and realize that, that thing that we all sort of want is still here and we have it. So,
I
it's
never
pretty
would have known
awesome.
about Auburn a few years ago if it wasn't for endurance.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, and being an equestrian, obviously that's a big part of it. We feel like with our proximity to the capital, it's a super good place to live. If you're a professional, now because and especially with remote working, it's just that balancing that quality of life is in this kind of hectic world we live in now, having that ability to have that life work balance. You hear that a lot, but it's a very important.
Super important.
Yeah, and I think we have it in spades out here, with our access to the freeway and eat all the stuff, and like you say, great high speed internet, which is a big deal. As you have a house somewhere, if you can sell, that's a selling feature, right?
Starlink actually is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
And
So
fiber optics are coming too.
yeah, so you entering a world where people are choosing where they want to live versus and then trying to find the job. That's becoming that's not always been the case. In fact, for forever it's been job, then go there and find something to live. But now it's changed, especially millennials. Millennials, who are the biggest part of the workforce right now, they really prefer to know. They want to make that decision about where they want to live, and then they'll figure the work part out, right? So
Right.
that's the
Nailed
reality,
it.
and yeah, so.
You could be a realtor.
Well, we kind of are. I always tell my friends in realty they should be leveraging our, what we have to offer, like you are,
Yeah.
because we are in the quality of life business, and that's a huge sell for people these days. So,
Yeah.
well, it's been super fun
You
to
too.
hang
Yeah.
out. We
Let's
should go
go.
take a
Let's
look around
check it
at the
out.
front. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.